Hello, I'm going to present the astrology reading for the month of February for the Cancer ascendants. Now, the short term influencing planets, or the planets move faster and influence in short term. Most of them, that means 4 of them, are in the 7th house in these days. For the last couple of weeks they were there and still there. So when the month begins, when the month of February begins, those planets are there in your 7th house. As they move across the house in a short period time, means within 1 month or 1.5 months, these planets influence in short term. So they are in the 7th house. 7th house resembles all the matters related to your marriage. Even if you are about to marry, or if you are expecting to be married, seeking a partner, and also if you are already married and having a married life, and also even if you are not married and living together in long term. So all those kind of close relationships are governed by 7th house. This is the main place which describes those matters. So the 4 planets are there already, and they've been there for the last couple of weeks. So normally, for those people who are expecting to be married, the Mars, Venus and Sun accelerate them, and Venus and Mercury trying to do them good, to have good marriages, good proposals likewise. But when it comes to the married people who are already married or who are already having a long term close relationships, so this combination is not good for those relationships and for the partners of the Cancer ascendants, because Sun, Mercury, they directly act negatively for them. Mars also acts negatively, but in the least level, because Mars is already in the exalted state in your 7th house, so it will not give its usual negative influences there, less than that. That depends on the state it was there in your birth chart, your personal birth chart. So altogether these 4 planets accelerate your marriage if you are not married. But when it comes to your if you are already married, then they most of them act negatively. But Venus supports in both occasions. Another problem is there when the Venus, Mars and Sun are together. There is a tendency to have the relationships which reach beyond the limits or move to extreme levels, or socially controversial relationships. So you have to be cautious on them. Now these planets are about to move to the 8th house during the month of February. 8th house is the worst house of any birth chart, which resembles setbacks in life, falls and destruction, sorrow, and also the life-threatening situations, death and the span of life. All those things are resembled by 8th house, mostly negative things. So this is the main place which resembles mostly more negative things. And the Rahu or North Node is there in the long run. It came there on 18th May 2025 and it will be there up to 5th December 2026. So normally, mainly giving more negative influences. There are slightly less positive influences but more negative influences. And especially that will affect negatively for your marriage or your partner. Once these planets reach one by one to the 8th house, so they influence negatively to the matters governed by the places where they own, because each of these planets, they govern a certain house in this horoscope. Altogether, these 4 planets govern 7 houses. There are 12 houses altogether in a horoscope birth chart. Out of them, 7 of them are governed by these 4 planets: Sun, Mercury, Mars and Venus. And the Rahu also already in a negative place. Now these planets also move there, so they influence negatively for those correspondent houses they govern. The matters resembled by those houses. Not only that, you also will have kind of life-threatening situation when these planets move to the 8th house, because 8th house is not a good place. So you have to take care of your safety and security. Now let's start with Mercury. Mercury moves to the 8th house on 3rd February 2026. That will stay there in the 8th house up to 11th April. Mercury resembles your 3rd house and also 12th house. When it comes to 3rd house resembles your activeness or courage, dedication towards your journey in your, mainly your targets, achieving your targets. So moving Mercury to the 8th house means you will have discouraged attitude, less activeness. Sometimes it might be a person to become less active. There must be a reason. So 3rd house is very important. That might come from an illness or accident, or that might come from an act of enemies likewise. So you have to be cautious on that. Also 3rd house resembles your siblings, so that also affects negatively. Then the Venus arrives there on 6th February and it will be there up to 2nd March. Venus represents your 4th house and 11th house. 4th house resembles your emotions, feelings, your mother, also your properties, means long-term fixed assets like land, buildings, houses, and also your residence. All those matters will be affected negatively during that short period that Venus is going to stay there in 8th house. Not only that, also your income and social relationships, which are governed by 11th house, also affected negatively. Then the Sun. On 13th, Sun arrives 9th house. It will be there up to 15th March. So Sun represents 2nd house. Ketu, also called South Node, is already there in the long run. It will be there up to 5th December 2026 and it arrived there on 18th May 2025. So it will exert negative influences to the matters governed by 2nd house. 2nd house resembles the life, the family life or the married life. Also your speech, and your wealth. Here the wealth means your savings, what you gathered as money, the assets with high liquidity like money or golds like that, not the fixed asset long term, not the long term fixed assets. Here like current assets, your money, things you can convert to cash fast, and by how much you have them. So that means Ketu in the second house, it will resist you to save money or gather money. That will not affect your income, that will affect your savings. Now the Lord of the second house, the Sun also in your 8th house from the 13th February. So that will bring more short-term negative influences to the matters governed by the second house. And finally, the Mars also going to move to the 8th house. Mars governs your 5th house and your 10th house. So Mars moves there 23rd February and will be there in the 8th house up to 2nd April. So the movement of Mars is highly critical, highly important, because the case is one thing is that Mars governs 5th house and 10th house. 10th house means your profession. 5th house means your education or love affairs or your children. So those things influence negatively. But not only that, Mars and Sun in your 8th house mean together it's kind of life-threatening situation, which might come as illness or maybe accident or from an acts of enemies or whatever it is. You have to be cautious on that yourself, because Rahu in the 8th house already creating such situations, highly negative situations. So you have to be cautious on those. Now these days Jupiter also not in a good place in 12th house, creating more expenses, sometimes expenses for social welfare or maybe religious things or kind of like such things, or maybe you have court cases or some things like that. Anyway, you are spending more and more these days. So only the Saturn's influence is neutral, either positive or neutral, not negative these days, because it's in the best place in the horoscope in the 9th house. 9th house is the best place of any horoscope, which is symbol luck, fortune, such things. So no harm from Saturn. So this is the common analysis for the month of February for the Cancer ascendant. But there might be slight changes when it comes to your own personal birth chart reading based on your personal birth chart, because your birth chart means the time of your birth, means the exact positioning and state of the planets and their aspects which were shown in the sky at the time of your birth. These exact things, that means the story which was shown in the sky at the time of your birth is mentioned in your birth chart. It's like the screen of the sky at that time. So to get a more personalized and more accurate birth chart reading, you have to refer your birth chart to an astrologer and get that reading. And even for the remedies for the malefic influences will be recommended by him. Your birth chart reveals your destiny, but it's not a fixed destiny. You can change many of the negative things mentioned in your birth chart. So one duty of the astrology is to show you the difficulties or negative things you meet in your life, as well as the positive things which you meet in your life. So in that way it helps you to plan well and execute those plans well. In that way you can overcome your difficulties, your weaknesses, and strengthen yourself, and plan well and execute those planning well in order to overcome those difficulties which you meet in your life ahead, as described by the astrology. And also you can face successfully and gain the positive things to come in your life ahead in your life, as described in the astrology reading. So that is the way to overcome many of the negative things which are mentioned in your birth chart and succeed in your life. Good luck.